you had to go to war, and you not only had to go to war with the person next to you, you had to go to war with yourself and
Oh,
get up.
dude,
It's
it
time to
sounds
go.
exhausting. Even when you're not in the actual physical mode of sprinting at practice, it
Yeah,
kind of sounds like you're always emotionally
it's
sprinting.
fight or flight,
Oh, dude, that
patio,
sounds
and
so
that's what it's
hard.
like. It is, man, and that's what it's like coming from a
Yeah.
space like this, right? It's you don't almost feel wrong sometimes, like looking over your shoulders, like I don't have to fight today. I don't have to do that. So
Mm.
it's getting from that place of surviving to thriving. And so for me,
Mm-hmm.
that's what thriving began to look like, and that's what distance running did for me.
Yeah.
I was able to throw off all of those other things and set those weights down and begin to thrive in a space that I could essentially make my own,
I mean, that
in
type
that
of
moment.
emotional lightness, like putting those weights down, has to transfer to
Dude,
actual physical lightness. Like, did it feel like you were
oh
running
yeah.
lighter?
I saw life better.
Oh,
I
dude.
got so much clarity
Yeah.
from being out there with myself, with the elements and just being able to be with my thoughts and be like, who is this guy? I don't even think I met this dude yet. Hello, Rock.
So
I'm
awesome.
Rock.
Yeah.
What's your name, bro?
Nice
You
to
know?
meet you. You seem like a real nice guy. You want to
Right,
go
you
out to
seem
lunch?
like a
Awesome.
nice guy. Like I've been here all along, bro. It's
Yeah,
just,
yeah,
we've
totally.
been fighting, bro. We've
Totally.
been having to fight.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, dude.
yeah, man.
This is the Outside Podcast with PaddyO. Longtime listeners of this show know that I throw a lot of shade at endurance running because endurance running is objectively terrible. The friendly competition between my lungs and my quads to see which can burn more intensely, the way I go from warming up to sweaty mess in a single stride, and definitely that invariable other damned person who bounds past me uphill like a gazelle on uppers while I'm breathing so hard they feel obligated to ask if I'm okay. Running. Yuck. But here's the thing, I only know these things about running because I run all the time. And I run all the time because every now and then I get this moment. The moment I'm talking about ain't runner's high. That's a myth perpetuated by Big Blister. But there are times when my lungs and my quads don't hurt, and I'm running through the woods, down the trail, with mountains in the distance, and I'm actually enjoying myself. I feel strong and capable and proud of myself for doing something tough. I run with friends and I run with my wife, but for the most part, I only have these moments when I'm running alone. It's a moment for me. Today, you're going to meet a guy who battled through some of the worst stuff life can throw at you to find these moments while running. And then he did something even more remarkable. He figured out how to make sure an entire community of people feel the same thing, and on a regular basis. His name is Anthony Clary. Anthony Clary, aka Rock, aka Mr. 808, more on that amazing nickname in a moment, was always an athlete. He grew up in the projects of Richmond, Virginia, and has the scars to prove it, but he excelled at football and rode that talent all the way to a college scholarship. For most of his life, Anthony ran, but he did so as wind sprints on the field because that's how he got to keep playing ball. After graduation, like a lot of college athletes, Anthony let himself go. He still ate like he was training for football, but he didn't train like he was training for football. By 2015, he was 300 pounds and warned by his doctor that he was pre-diabetic. Anthony took that diagnosis as a challenge, though, and joined a boot camp style workout class that included distance running. Without a coach screaming in his ear, without shoulder pads and a helmet, running felt different. The low pace and long miles shed the physical weight, sure, but it shed other weights that Anthony barely realized he was carrying. It shed the weight of racism his family endured for generations. It shed the weight of trauma he'd been carrying since his brother was murdered when he was just a kid. Anthony started running 5Ks, then 10Ks, then marathons. At the urging of a friend, he organized an informal run club. An Instagram post got a few folks showing up. In his community, run clubs weren't really a thing, but it caught on and ballooned to a few hundred folks, and the We Off the Couch Run Club was born. Today, the club boasts more than 2,000 members. It's a registered nonprofit that provides gear, coaching, and after-school programs. Even more important to Anthony, though, is that every time the club gathers, he sees folks from his community transformed by the same feeling of empowerment and joy that he felt when he first started running for himself. It's no small thing when simply going for a jog manages to change your life, but when you harness that and use it to help thousands of others change their lives too, well, those are the folks you tune into this podcast to hear from. So meet Anthony Clary, and I'll bet dollars to donuts that once you have, you're gonna want to go for a run yourself. First things first, burnt toast. What's your last humbling and or hilarious moment outside?
Will have to be at the Shamrock Marathon. I think it was 2023. I made the
The
mistake.
Shamrock Marathon?
The Shamrock Marathon. I ran it in I think it was 2023.
Being that my name is Patty, I love this story already. Okay, let's get into it.
Yeah, man, look, I made the mistake of eating something I knew I shouldn't have ate the night before.
What'd you
Man,
have?
it was pasta. It was a Diavolo sauce. Like, the pasta was cool.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I had this sauce I had been eating a whole training block. So I just thought it was cool to go and do that. Yeah, it was like mile 16. It was the fastest I had ever been running in my life. And let's just say I am very grateful that there was a porta potty to the left. And man, I was stuck for like 40 minutes, man. You know, teammates was like, "Well, yeah." I was like, "Y'all got it, man. Y'all gotta go."
Where am I at? I am fighting for my life right now is where I'm at. I wish I could be running.
Yeah, man, it
would be so much easier than what I'm doing right
funny.
now.
Yeah, that was hilarious, man. It's funny. Took me forever to get back. Everybody was like, "Where you go?" I was like, "Man, you know, it is what it is."
You don't want to know. You don't want to know. I think anybody who runs has been there. Anybody who runs knows what it's like to get the runs when you're running. All right. Let's get into it. I know we're here to talk about running, and we're going to get to that, but you're known as Mr. 808, and in our research, we found this photo of you with Rick Ross's album, like you were on Billboard. Like, did you make beats for Rick Ross's that entire album, Port of Miami 2?
Yep. I opened up the album for Port of Miami 2. So the title song of that, the first song he rolled out, opened that up. So that was pretty excited to do that with him. And then I made a lot of music for him. Like, when you're producing, sometimes music comes out, sometimes it's sitting in a vault and it might come out later. But that was one of those things, you know. He hit me up and I was like, whoa, okay, all right, we off to the race.
Wait, time out. What do you mean Rick Ross just hit you up? Like, I know people who hit me up, and it's like my mom and dad, like my wife. Like, Rick Ross is not like, "Hey, Patty, you make a beat for me?" What do you mean Rick Ross just hit you up?
No, so the coolest thing about it is, so where I'm from here in Richmond, Virginia.
Yeah.
One of my cousins, he's a multi-platinum Grammy-nominated music producer.
Uh-huh.
So those doors, you know, they kind of swing, you know, for me. So he just, you know, cousin was like, "All right, this is what we got to do."
What you're saying is that my cousins just don't do enough because nobody's hit me up to make any beats. So how long have you gone by Mr. 808 and how long have you gone by Rock?
Rock since I was about 17. One of my youth pastors back in the day gave me the name, and it just kind of stuck.
What about Mr. 808? When did that come in?
When I started producing, right? So when I was 17, I got into the music space, and then 808 is a rolling bass drum. So
it's a drum machine, right? Yeah.
Yep. So that's why I just called myself Mr. 808.
Well, here's probably the most important question. What the hell am I supposed to call you?
Rock is perfect.
Okay.
Rock is perfect. Yeah.
Okay, so, well, maybe this is a stretch, but do you think that you dig running so much because you're like tapping into the same kind of rhythm in the beats that you're making?
Wow, I didn't even think about it like that. But
Booyah, I'm
probably so.
Blowing your mind here.
So.
This is gonna be great. We're already starting off at such a great place. Amazing. Here's the thing. You don't have to do this, but the next beat that you come up with that like kind of sounds like the rhythm of your running, I would appreciate it if it was just called like PaddyO beat or something like that. But listen, you do your thing. I'm not gonna tell you. I won't feel bad, but I will feel good if you do.
Say less. Say less. I got you, PaddyO.
Yeah, boom. Great.
Yeah, man.
I want to talk about the genesis of your passion for running because
Sure.
your love affair for running did not start out as a love affair at all. You have this great quote that originally you saw running as punishment. Now, you were a college football player. I played lacrosse in college.
Oh
So
yeah.
I
Oh yeah.
totally understand what you mean as
Yeah.
running as punishment. But for our
Yep.
listeners, can you explain that? Why did you first see running as this like torturous experience?
Well, it was, suicides. If we didn't do well in the game, coach was, drop,
Oh,
give
dude.
me suicides, give me everything.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so it was just punishment
Everybody
the
on
way
the
I saw
line.
it.
We're doing gassers.
Man, like all our wind sprints, everything you had. I'm talking like
Yeah.
not the next couple days at practice after the game, full equipment
Yeah. Oh,
with,
yeah. Yeah.
so it was more so like torture for me. I didn't want anything to do with it outside outside playing football. But yeah, so that's
Right.
that's where that
Right.
comes from. I just saw it as punishment.
Because it literally was punishment. It was like whether you did something good or you did something bad, especially when you did something bad.
Right.
It was like, get on the line, we're doing
Yep.
gassers, and you're going to
You're on the
run
line.
until you throw up.
Yep. That's exactly what happened. I
Okay.
didn't do any running on my own in college, high school, or anything like that. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
it all happened, in real adult years.
After college, your weight slowly but surely increased to the point that in 2015, you were pushing around 300 pounds, and your
Correct.
doctor told you that you were pre diabetic. So let's talk about what
Yes.
led you here. So, what was happening in your life when your fitness from college football began to
Mm-hmm.
wane? How did you pack
Man.
on those pounds? Because what you gained 100 plus pounds
Yep.
post college?
Yeah, yeah, I sure did.
Okay.
I think life just started rolling. Become a social worker. I graduated.
Mm-hmm.
Start having all the kids, and I just
Yeah.
kept eating. When you play ball, you play lacrosse. Coach, once you get
Yeah.
big, so
Yeah.
it's all the carbs. But I kept eating the carbs. But
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
didn't work. I wasn't working out anymore.
Were you still eating as if you were still
Yep,
training for
absolutely, I
football?
was.
Yeah. Yeah. I know that move.
I just kept telling myself, I'm an athlete. I could get the weight off,
Sure.
and it just kept rolling. But yeah, I think the stresses of life began to get to you, and it was just all type of just
Yeah.
bad food choices that I didn't realize were catching up to me like that. So
Yeah.
yeah, doctor told me, looked at me, he said, you are pre-diabetic, and if you don't do something, this is what's going to happen. And by me being a social worker, I already knew how bad that could be. So I was like, I can't do that to my kids. Let me
Because
get
what,
moving.
you had clients who were diabetic and pre-diabetic,
Oh yeah,
and then what, you also saw their struggle with
yeah,
their health, or just also how hard it can be to get
yes,
healthy when you've got all these barriers in the
yes.
healthcare system.
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely. Everything you just said. Because in the line of social work I do, I work with homeless adults. Those that are most medically vulnerable to down the street. So that could
Yeah.
be terminal illnesses, diabetes. That could be mental health, extreme mental health.
Yeah. Yeah.
Burn bridges, whatever. People forget about them.
Hmm.
So myself and the team of folks. We're in the woods. We're getting people, and we're doing things beyond like the socks and the sandwiches of it all.
Hmm.
Those things have its place too. But I've been with people because they don't have family. I've been with people, amputations, cancer treatments, all
Yeah.
of those things. So I just said to myself, there is no way I could go down this road,
Hmm.
because right now I'm choosing that, so I had to choose different.
Did you find it harder or easier than you thought to stop working out like an athlete?
I love your question, because that's a real question. I found it harder to do because all of the priorities,
Yeah.
and my health should have been number one, right?
Yeah.
But working, going to work, doing those things, taking care
Totally.
of the
Totally.
kids, doing documents, all of those things, and
Yeah.
again, I just kept telling myself, I'm an athlete. I could get it off.
Yeah, it'll be better when. I feel like in these situations, a lot of the times what we do is I will work out or I'll do the fitness thing when this happens, right? And we kind of push the idea of fitness being important to your own
Correct.
health. It's like the airplane thing of like putting the mask on first.
Yep.
I struggle
Yep.
so hard with that. I'm like, if I put the
I hear
mask
you.
on first, I'm selfish. Do you think that was part of it too?
Yeah, because when you're a social worker and you just have a love and a desire to serve people, sometimes
Yeah.
if you aren't aware, you are doing everything for anybody else before you do anything for yourself. So
Dude,
that's
yes,
where the
yeah.
blurred lines, the
Hmm.
boundaries, everything gets crossed, and you think you're doing good,
Yeah,
by helping people, but you aren't because you're hurting yourself. So, in this season of my life, I have learned, oh, let me put my mask on before I go important and trying to figure out how to help
for
other
sure.
people.
Like you got to
You
charge
know,
your own battery before you can
you
like
have to.
tap into it to give it away.
You have to.
So
Yeah.
in this point, right post college, like how central to your identity was being a football player, was being in shape, was being an athlete. Even though these things were waning, did you still see yourself as an athlete?
Hey, that's a great question. I think it just really is. Like I think toward my senior year, I started to care less about football. And
Okay.
not that it wasn't important to me, but I knew it wasn't gonna be my life. I know I wasn't going to the league or doing
Yeah.
anything like that.
Okay.
So I started to focus on other things,
Hmm.
but I still always see myself as a football player. Like get
Sure.
different games and stuff like that. I'm like, man, I can get out there
Sure.
and do some for 2 reps and probably be folded up
I'm
in the
about to
fetal
mess
position.
these people up on the pickleball court. Yeah. These
Man, them young
yeah,
boys are getting me.
you go to like a family or like a friend barbecue or something, you see people playing
Right,
bags or washers or tetherball or badminton or whatever.
right,
You're like, man, these people
man.
don't know. I'm about to mess some people
Man, I pull a hamstring. But, but
up.
real quickly,
Yeah,
rolling down the
totally.
hill somewhere.
Diving
But
all over the place. Like, you got grass stains on
yeah.
your nice pair of pants, man. Like, well, yeah. Did you see me out on the volleyball court?
Did you see me though? Yeah, we saw you getting carted off with the EMS. Yeah, we
Yeah,
saw
yeah.
you.
Who's got Gatorade? Because I sweat through my nice shirt. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, man. Yeah,
So,
definitely. I don't think like once athlete, always athlete, you see yourself like
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. Was there a hit at all to your identity as an athlete when you're sitting there with your doc and the doc goes, yeah, you're pre-diabetic? Did it feel like he was like, you're not the athlete you thought you were? That is gone.
Yeah,
Did that
yeah,
hurt?
it did, but it charged me. I
Oh,
said,
okay.
okay, what's next? Because it really makes you look at yourself. It makes you like come to terms with all the things you've been telling yourself.
Mm-hmm.
That I'm just an athlete, and with all of the
Mm-hmm.
other layers added to it. And it's like, Anthony, you are an athlete, brother, but you have to do something about this
Yeah.
because you have little kids following you. You need to be
Mm.
mobile for them,
Yeah.
But it charged me. It said,
Yeah.
okay, what are we gonna do now? And that's how I start falling in love with the distance
Well,
of
let's
running.
talk about that. So, what did you do?
I did the whole thing where I tried to work out on my own and
Uh-huh.
it didn't work for me because I'm used to team effort
Yeah.
and
Oh, okay.
being in the same space, having the same goal with a group of people.
Cool.
So I
Yeah.
found this workout program and, we're working out outside, we're pushing, doing push-ups, we're doing all the stuff that I loved, right,
Yeah.
to do. And they had these run options. And I lie to you now, Pat, like where I live right here in the city, we have the James River. I had never been my entire life.
No
Right.
kidding.
I'm talking like I live maybe 5 blocks from the river right now. But
Mm-hmm.
I had never been. It's the stigma around, you'll drown, you get hurt, and all those things are true as far as it being a capital of Confederacy. Like things could happen to little black boys down at the river. So we
Mm.
just didn't go.
Yeah. Okay.
But
Okay.
when I started going on these run options with my friends, and I was like, what is this? I never knew this. What do you
Yeah.
mean there are trails? There are
Yeah.
trails?
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a trail on this side, there's a trail. Oh, I'm telling everybody. So I started, I'm telling you, man,
Yeah.
I started running and I started enjoying it and I fell in love with it, the mental health aspect, everything. I started getting so much from the space of running that I didn't know existed. So
Yeah.
like it quickly became this thing that I thought was punishment. I'm in love with this thing. So I started telling everybody, man, and
Yeah.
now everybody outside. We run on the streets, we run in the woods.
Yeah. Well,
We're everywhere, man.
so that mental switch, right? That mental emotional switch of
Yeah,
how you saw and perceived running. I really want to dig into that because that's super
sure,
interesting to me. Because I
sure.
think I had a similar experience post college, right? I was like, I got to work out, got to, stay
Right.
in shape. But when I would go for runs, it was like, I've been sitting at my desk too long. Like, I got to like burn it out, right? So I would still do the same thing as if I were running gassers at practice, right? I'd hit the street and I'd just go absolutely destroy myself for like a mile or two. Then slowly but surely in my 30s, I was introduced to long distance,
Yeah.
low pace, endurance
Hmm.
style trail running. And I was
There you
like,
go.
oh, okay, I like this. Like my big is kind of meant for this, you
Yeah,
know, like
yeah,
I'm
I
going to
love
move slow, but I can move for a long time.
Yep,
I can move all day. As long as I got fuel, I can move all day.
exactly.
So did you have that type of experience as well? It's like you got out there, it was like, oh, I'm not sprinting. There's not a bunch of coaches screaming at me about how I'm garbage or whatever. Like,
Correct.
what made you fall in love?
When I was with that group, they would leave me. And as
Sure.
long as I could see a t-shirt, I knew I could find my way back. But
Okay.
it was like being out there, being in the elements,
Yeah.
being in the woods, next to the river, because back then I didn't run with any music or do anything like that.
Okay. Okay.
But I started falling in love with just being myself in that space. I didn't, like you said with coaches, I didn't need to compete with anybody.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't need to compete, to have the scholarship. I didn't need to do any of that. I could just be in that space. And I fell in love with the gift of just showing up and taking my time with it. I could run at whatever pace I want to run.
Right.
Go at those slower paces and have a
Yeah.
great time. So yeah, I think I fell in love with it because I was able to be myself.
What do you mean it let you be yourself? When you were a football player, did you have to put on kind of like, I don't
Oh
know, like a
yeah,
hardcore aggressive front? And you're like, actually, I'm
yeah.
kind of a teddy bear. I don't want to be all that angry all the time, Did it
Right.
make it feel lighter? Did you feel lighter?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Because I mean, where I'm from, man, I grew up in the inner city. We didn't have much, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's
Mm-hmm.
even me going to college was the furthest thing away from my mind.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think I could go. I've always was always told that wasn't smart enough. If people weren't saying that directly, society
Yeah.
was telling you that.
Yeah.
So for most, young black and brown folks, and just people in general that come from different spaces, especially people who look like me, when you pull up to a situation like that and you get an opportunity like that, nobody's taking this from me. I am
Oh,
going
okay.
to work hard.
Yeah. Okay. I
I
see
am
what
going
you're
to
saying.
make sure
Yeah.
I secure this scholarship because my parents don't have any money. I have to quote unquote make it out.
So did it never not feel like a fight then?
It never not felt like a fight.
Oh,
It never not felt like that.
yeah.
Like you had to secure that. You had to make sure that you could make it through school because there was nobody coming to buy my book. There was nobody coming to make sure I had lunch. It just wasn't that. Now I love my parents, right? Like my school was like an hour and a half away from my home.
Mm-hmm.
But they would they would come down like every other weekend. I had to like make them like y'all leave me alone, you know. But they would
Yeah.
come down and
Yeah.
take me for lunch and do different things like that. But
Yeah.
there wasn't a endless supply of money.
Yeah.
There was
Yeah.
no trust fund. There was no
Yeah.
none
Yeah.
of that. So you had to go to war, and you not only had to go to war with the person next to you, you had to go to war with yourself and
Oh,
get up.
dude,
It's
it
time to
sounds
go.
exhausting. It sounds like it's
Yeah,
never not exhausting. Even when you're not in the actual physical mode of sprinting at practice, it
yeah.
kind of sounds like you're always emotionally
It's
sprinting.
fight or flight.
Oh, dude, that
Patio. And
sounds
that's
so
that's what
hard.
it's like. It is, man. And that's what it's like coming from a
Yeah.
space like this, right? It's you almost feel wrong sometimes, like looking over your shoulders, like, I don't have to fight today. I don't have to do that. So
Mm.
it's getting from that place of surviving to thriving. And so for me,
Mm-hmm.
that's what thriving began to look like. And that's what distance running did for me.
Yeah.
I was able to throw off all of those other things and set those weights down and begin to thrive in a space that I could essentially make my own,
I mean, that
in
type
that
of
moment.
emotional lightness, like putting those weights down, has to transfer to
Dude.
actual physical lightness. Like, did it feel like you were
Oh
running
yeah.
lighter?
I saw life better. I
Oh,
I
dude.
got so much clarity
Yeah.
from being out there with myself, with the elements and just being able to be with my thoughts and be like, who is this guy? I don't even think I met this dude yet. Hello, Rock.
So
I'm
awesome.
Rock.
Yeah.
What's your name, bro?
Nice
You
to
know?
meet you. You seem like a real nice guy. You want to
Right.
go
You
out to
seem
lunch?
like a
Awesome.
nice guy. Like I've been here all along, bro. It's
Yeah,
just,
yeah,
we've
totally.
been fighting, bro. We've
Totally.
been having to fight.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, dude.
yeah, man.
Do you remember the first run where you actually
Yes.
enjoyed running, where you looked around and were like, oh, this actually
Yes.
feels pretty damn good? Okay, tell me about that.
It's 2017. I was down on the North Bank Trail, down on the Fire Road, and I was by myself. Actually, I wasn't on a group that day. I was just running by myself. And the James River is right next to you. I could hear everything. It's like I could feel everything. And I was like, oh, okay. And then, like it's kind of how We Off the Couch started, but like what was about me in that space, I was like, I have to tell everybody because if I'm getting this, I know everybody else needs
So where does that come from? Because that's an interesting thing
it. Mm-hmm.
to be on this run. All of a sudden you're like, this
Mm-hmm.
run actually feels awesome. It's a big leap though to go from I'm
Mm-hmm.
feeling all of this to I've got to make sure other people are feeling this. So
And
how do you make that leap? What's
yeah.
the fuel there?
So I'll segue into this piece and then I'll get back to that really quick. I love
Okay.
people, and my love for people, I think it's always been there, but it happened like so when I was 17, one of my brothers was robbed and killed in a neighboring project.
Mm.
So at that time we lived in Oak Grove, and he was down in Hillside Court, which was directly down the hill. He and
Okay.
one of his buddies, they were passing through, and a guy, rode up on him and was like, what time it is? Give me what you got. $40, PaddyO. forty
So, oh
dollars.
my God.
Lost his life for $40. So,
I'm so
gave him the
sorry.
money. I appreciate you, man. Gave him the money, but they knew what time it was. My brothers, they knew what time. They knew they needed to get out there. They knew who the guy was. They knew what he was doing
Yeah.
at that time. So they both took off, and he shot at the other guy. My brother's friend hit him. He survived, but my brother ran the other way. And then he shot at my brother. Once hit him in the back. Then he went and stood over top of him.
Oh,
And
dude.
then he shot him. Shot him in his head, and he ran across the street. Came back to make sure he was dead, and yeah, shot him again in his head. You know, um, and the thing, it was like my brother, him and I are a lot alike. We're a
Mm-hmm.
lot alike in the way we approach community, the way we approach people. That was just the guy you don't do that to. So
Mm-hmm.
I had never seen the whole community pull together like that. But like, no, so and so did that. Like people. I mean, people didn't just go out, outwardly telling everything, but
Yeah.
everybody made sure that who needed to know what happened knew who did it. Because it was just wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, I was 17. We got a call.
Oh,
You got to come down to the hospital because your brother just got shot. My parents and I, we go down to the hospital. I cross through those doors, and my mom is like, we're here for James Clary. The nurse was like, wait, let me get you the chaplain. And my mom
dude.
lost it.
Oh.
Like she lost it. And I had seen people, get killed. I've been, next to stuff. I mean, friends, I've seen things like that, and in that moment I knew this is bad. So they took my mom, my dad, and I into the side room and they explained all what was going on. And that, he got shot in his head. They had him on life support, and everything, but of course, he wasn't going to make it. First time I ever seen my dad cry.
Mm.
And before they took us over there, I kept asking my mom, I said, Mom, what's the chaplain? What's the chaplain? She was like, somebody you don't want to meet, sweetheart. You know, um, and yeah, man, and the craziest part is my brother, his daughter was, I think, 8 months, eight,
Oh,
9 months
dude.
at that time. You know, um, and I went back to see him. Man, they had his hands, it was homicide stuff. So they had his hands wrapped up with the bags, his head was wrapped up with the gauze, from all the trauma. And man, it rocked me to my core, patio. Like
I,
it rocked me to
I
my
bet.
core. Like I was like, damn, I'm not gonna see my brother again.
Mm.
So this is why running was a personal thing, and then why it became so much about people because I understood the power of real community, right? Not just no kick to anybody that just throws around the word community, but you really have to
Yeah.
understand what you're saying when you say community,
Yeah.
right? Because you can have the power to do something good, or you can do something bad, in community. But that guy who gave me the nickname Rock, he was a pastor, you leader, all of that stuff. He had eulogized my brother's funeral,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I had seen this guy speak to people who looked like me in a way that I had never seen speak people because he looked just like us too. He was from the same stuff.
Yeah.
So he spoke to us different. And it rocked me. So I started going to his youth center, right? He didn't push church on me or do anything like that, but they showed me real community. That's why I really got into music at. It was a studio in the bottom of the place. There was other people there.
Yeah.
And I was just able to show up and be authentically myself. And I got so many people that didn't want anything from me but to see me thrive, man.
Yeah.
Right. Like, so I was able to move from that space of like, fight or flight to just like, I can rest a little bit. Like they helped me with my college apps, all of the stuff that
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think I could do. Those
Yeah.
people helped me walk it through. And that
Yeah.
gave me the sense of what real community is, not just a buzzword type thing. It was, oh no, this is real life. Like people are showing up and they're doing real life with you. You don't have to travel through that space alone by yourself. So that's what happened for me. The switch went off. And I
Mm-hmm.
was like, oh, I gotta tell the hood.
Yeah.
Man, I started telling everybody.
Yeah.
I said, this thing's working for me. I
Mm-hmm.
know so many other people like me. And I know so many other just humans in general that would benefit from a space like this.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't that I was like, I'm gonna start a run group. I just
Yeah.
started telling my friends, come outside and let's run.
Yeah.
And then it was like, oh, what's happening? So yeah, man. I know
Well,
it was kind of a long explanation, but
no,
I
thank
wanted to hit
you.
you with it.
So you're running through the woods, you're
Yeah,
running by the river,
yeah.
you're out in nature, you're feeling all these good feelings. To make the shift, though, I got to tell the rest of the neighborhood about this. I got to tell my friends about this. I got to get
Oh yeah,
community involved
yeah,
in this.
yeah.
How much of a conscious thing was it? Like community was given to me in my moment of need.
Mm-hmm.
When my brother was murdered, people
Right.
enveloped me and made sure that
Yep.
I had a path forward to get to
Correct.
where I needed to go. How much of
Correct.
it was conscious during this run or soon thereafter? Were you like, this was given to me so freely in my moment of need? I don't know who's out there that needs this, but
Yeah.
there's got to be folks out there that need it. I need
Yeah.
to do this. How much of it was a conscious choice like that? Was it at all?
I don't think it was.
Okay.
But I know when you leave from a place of like real love, the way I know I do,
Yeah.
I think what's in you is just gonna come out,
Mhm.
But I do know along that run, PaddyO, I was feeling the same things that I felt as a 17-year-old.
Oh,
I was feeling the same freedom. I was feeling the same joy, and I was like, I can't keep this to myself.
mm, mm.
Like I can't keep this to myself. And then, being 5, 6, 7-year-old, 8-year-old Rock sitting on my porch in the projects, I said, there's probably so many other me. I don't know who they are right now.
Oh,
Or
dude.
struggling with life. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, nah, this time we're getting outside, baby. I'm fighting this. I'm telling everybody.
I'm not trying to like fluff your feathers here or anything, but like I have to point out that it is remarkable that in a moment of serious pain, of
Yeah.
so much anger and questions and trauma, there's like these two paths where you can go down, and it's like I could be angry for the rest of my life. I could be so aggressive for the rest of my life. And
Yeah.
then there's this other path where, given community and resources, people hugging you when you needed a hug,
Absolutely.
you can choose love, you can choose
Yep.
joy, and then at the end of it, you can choose otherness. Now,
Ooh.
I just have to point out, it is remarkable that
Yeah.
you went down this path of joy and
Yeah.
and love, and that
Yeah.
the community helped that you get there. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
where there was hurt, there is now love and otherness, and that's a remarkable thing. I just have to point
That's
that out.
I appreciate you, man. That's why I know I show up that way. I teach it to my kids. I teach them to love themselves, to love community, and to love their family, of course, but then to just show up authentically. When you just are kind
Yeah.
and you want to be a good human. When we talk about legacy and stuff like that, those
Yeah.
are the things
Yeah,
that
totally.
I want my children to grasp. Those are the things that I want
Yeah.
community to grasp. Is like, can you step outside yourself for a second? We're all
Yeah.
important, but can you
Mhm.
step outside yourself for a second and see how we all work together?
Mm.
Like, and when we see how we all work together, man, that's real power.
Yeah.
And that's what I
Oh,
tell the community all the time. I said, that's power, bro. I said, I know we moving and we clocking these miles, and we building these miles, but we aren't just building miles, we're building people. And we're building each
Oh,
other.
yes.
So it's like, let's tap into that. And I said, I promise you, every other personal goal you have, you will see yourself attain it, and then you'll be looking for more
Mhm.
because you'll find power in togetherness.
If running was punishment in college,
Yeah.
what is it on the fire road? What does running
Ooh.
come to represent then?
Liberty,
Ooh.
freedom.
Mm.
And even in those times where, my brother's gone, my oldest daughter has autism, I could choose to be angry about that.
Yeah. Totally.
It's finding freedom. I truly believe that grief and joy coexist and they are in the same space. And you have to give leeway to one. You have
Yeah.
to feel that thing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you have to give leeway to the other.
Yeah.
because I tell the crew this all the time too. Because we do something called good news at the crew, right? Like we running, we doing, doing hard miles, but we still stop and we check with each other because
Yeah.
we like to know the pulse of the group. We like to know the
Yeah.
pulse of every person because life is so precious, right? Like people are so precious. Right. So, but we do something called good news where we call on 2 3 people and we give people an opportunity to share what's going on in their lives really
Oh,
quick,
I
like
love
30
that.
seconds. And then it gives them an opportunity to share what isn't going on. And that's how we
Ah,
hold safe space
equally as
for
important.
each
Yeah.
right. And we hold safe space for each other. But
Mm.
I tell the crew this stuff all the time. I said, life isn't gonna always be, it's
Yeah,
joyous
totally.
and you're
Yeah.
having these just I said
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
gonna
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
it's gonna be rocky. It's gonna
Yeah.
be up and down. And I said,
Yeah.
what does that remind you of? It reminds you of, like that monitor you may see beep, beep, beep. That
Yeah. Yeah.
means you're alive.
Yeah.
Like if
Yeah.
it's like this, that ain't good.
Yeah. No
So,
flat line
yeah,
allowed.
no flat line, no flat line. Be okay with it being up and down, man. That means
Yeah.
you flowing, you're moving through.
Oh,
So
I
yeah,
love
on
that.
that fire road, it was for me, it was liberty, man. It was joyous finding that freedom again, and then realizing, oh, Anthony, you can tap into this whenever you like.
Mm.
You know,
Mm.
like so I wanted to teach people that. I knew that what was happening wasn't just about me.
Yeah.
That I had to go tell my people. I had to go tell my community.
Mm.
That hey, some out here. Come on, y'all. Let's go outside in the woods. Let's go running.
Yeah. I
Running.
love it.
What you
I love
mean?
it. I love it. So you're falling more and more in love with running at this time. You lose 100 pounds in a year. Wow. And you're actually enjoying the physical act of running. Then in
Yeah.
2017, you sign up for a race.
So this was the Monument Avenue 10K. I
Okay.
signed up. That was the first race I had ever done.
Yeah.
And my coworker, he had lost a lot of weight and he started working out and running and everything. And he was like, "Yeah, man, I put your name in this bag for a free race entry. They're gonna call you."
He signed
All
you up
right.
for it?
Yeah,
Oh
yeah. He
God.
put he put my name in it, and he was like, "I think you should come do it." And I was like, "Yeah, all right," and then the people reach out, and I was like, "Oh, he wasn't playing," So I signed up for it, and Patty, it was like the best thing. I was like, "Oh, this is fun."
Mm.
People cheering, they're doing
Yeah.
all this stuff. I got this
Yeah.
little bib thing. I don't know where to hang it at.
Yeah.
I had it like two
Yeah.
of them, and it's flying everywhere.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So it did something for me where I was able to just be out in a space that mattered and it was fun. Crossing the finish line, getting a medal. I was getting that football vibe again. I was like, oh
Totally.
shoot,
Yeah.
I got
Yeah.
a medal, man. Can't
Yeah,
nobody tell
yeah.
me nothing right now. So
Yeah. Hey
so
everybody, look
that's
at
that
me. Check
happened.
this out. Do you see this
Yeah,
ribbon? Do you
check it
see this
out. Look at
medal?
my medal. Yeah. Look at my medal. This is my medal,
Yeah, yeah.
But I felt like I was a part of something.
Mhm.
Like I felt like maybe not that it was this elitist thing, but I felt like, damn, I never been in a space like this. I didn't even
Yeah.
know this stuff existed. But I felt like I was a part of something for the first time in a very long time since college football. So I felt like I was
Mm.
a part of a group of people, everybody had on
Mhm.
the same shirts and
Yeah,
all
yeah.
of that stuff. So it was beautiful just to be in that space. When we talk about PRs and personal records and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I tell everybody, those things are cool, but today I need you to develop some personal relationships. So when you out there, when you're out there at the race,
Nice.
look to your
Nice.
left or right,
Yeah.
cheer
Yeah.
somebody on,
Yeah.
do something like that, get to know somebody.
Yeah.
Never know who you meet out there, doing that hard thing together. So there
So
was people, it was community,
so you've fallen in love with running. So you're running with coworkers, you're running with
right?
friends, old college teammates are showing up.
Yep.
You're starting to get a little bit of a group. So how exactly did the idea start for We Off the Couch?
So it was myself and one of my college football mates. We were running because I started running on my own, and I
Yeah.
started inviting him. And I was
Yeah.
like, Trey, come on. He was like, man, I ain't doing that. Wait, I think I enjoy this too.
Yeah, yeah.
And he was like, you should just post it. You should just post it and just tell everybody. Because I was
Yeah.
telling him on the
Yeah.
run, like, I want to
Yeah.
invite more people. Like, and he was like, yeah, I think you should, because we were running on Sundays. And he was like, I could be home watching football, but I wanted to come do this.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, bro, just take the picture. I was like, I don't think nobody gonna come.
Yeah.
But it was like 2 people, 5 people, then it's 75 of us running through the woods. And now it's all of this. It was like we were answering problems that I knew existed, but I didn't
Yeah.
know it was like that serious.
What's the hole in the Richmond community or Richmond as a city that you are trying to fill with the club? Why was the creation
Hmm.
of the club so important?
I truly, truly, truly do know, and I truly, truly do understand that systemic racism is very real.
Mm-hmm.
Like I understand what it is to be an educated man from the inner city. One of
Mm-hmm.
the first things I did when I went away to college, I said I'm never coming back to the hood, and it was the first thing I did because I started to understand why I needed to be present in my own community. It's important because the life expectancy gap in somewhere like a red line neighborhood, which is where I live in now, like a Blackwell, Hillside Court, Oak Grove, a Gilpin Court, all of the courts, life expectancy gap there, and then maybe 5 to 10 minute car ride away
Yeah.
is 20 plus years difference.
Wow.
And
Wow.
at We Off the Couch, I teach my teammates all the time, but we all know it. But we seriously just do not believe that someone's life expectancy should be determined by their zip code.
Mm.
And that's all over our country. So that importance of being outside, that importance of and we run in disenfranchised communities and neighborhoods all the time. Routes are running directly past my house. Routes are running right through the projects, right through the hood, because that's where we need to be. Because think about how many young rocks
Mm-hmm.
can see themselves differently because they see people running down the street.
Yeah.
Probably about 2 weeks ago, we were running through one of the communities, and then we do the good news piece. And one of the guys was sharing about his mom had died from breast cancer before, but how he was now walking his best friend through the same thing because his mom is dealing with the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And he's there crying. I'm talking like big old black man. He there crying. We crying. And I look over to my left. It's 5 kids, 5 young black boys looking at it and they're watching it from the neighborhood. So as
Yeah.
we begin to take off again back on the route, I was like, y'all, come on, run with us. And I'm telling them about the program and everything, and they're running with us, sprinting down the block, and whenever we see them kids, and in any neighborhood, they're excited to see us and they join. The parents
Yeah.
are coming off the porch. People are coming from the community to
Just because
run.
they
It's
see you
like,
running down the street, running past the house. Yeah.
yeah, man, a couple, 100, 200 people running down the block. Yeah, man. So,
Dude.
access, removing the barriers to that access
Yeah.
is everything. And that's what we
Well,
do at We Off the Couch.
Well, that's an interesting thread there.
Yeah.
Like, what barriers do you think that most people don't realize exist in something as simple, quote unquote, simple as
Oh,
running?
yeah. I start this way. The shoes, very
Mm-hmm.
expensive. When you get into races, very expensive. Training, if you don't know how to properly train, and you have to get somebody to help you. That can be expensive. Going
The
to the gym,
nutrition that you
the
need. Yeah, yeah,
nutrition.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Everything around this distance running thing that we love
Mm-hmm.
is expensive.
Yeah,
It's big business.
yeah,
You
for
know,
sure.
I said, there's no way that I'm not going to allow my community
Mm-hmm.
to participate in something that I know is so life giving
Mm-hmm.
because it costs this.
Yeah,
I said, we're going to figure it out. So,
yeah,
like, those barriers to access are very real. I mean, like, I can go look out my window right now, point straight to the slave trail, Richmond, Shackled Bottom, ground
yeah,
zero for slavery.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know, so,
No doubt.
so us, yeah, man, this thing's real. So, like, we're running on slave trail all the time. It's our route.
That's
Us
got to
being
feel
Oh yeah,
wild.
man. It is. It is, man. Like so, like we just did our run right down at Crow's Landing is what it's called. And we run from there pretty frequently. But it's where the slaves are docked,
Yeah.
right? It's everybody's chained up and they march you down the same trails that we run. And marching everybody down and through into Shockoe Bottom and splitting families up and selling folks like cattle, right? Like slavery is a real thing. Like and
Yeah,
it wasn't that long ago. So us being able to run that and showing up in spaces and in our space where it matters and giving different life to things is so beautiful, man. It is so beautiful to not only just see myself lining up at the start line now,
yeah,
but to
yeah.
see other people, other run crews across the country who are doing phenomenal work. People purposefully lining up with a purpose to shift the narrative, to rewrite stories that weren't written for us.
Mm-hmm.
Like the story for me was I was supposed to die like my brother.
Mm-hmm.
The story for me was I was supposed to be all of those things.
Yeah.
But here I am. So it's be a disruptor in a way that you get to write that story the way it should be written, that I get to write that story the way my kids can read it and be proud.
We Off the Couch has more than 2,000 members, something like 1,500 to 1,700 people show up every week for organized runs. And it's not just runs, right? You've got the CARES program. You help out with equipment. You help out with race costs. You've got nutrition coaches. You've got run coaches. You've got life coaches. It's a run run club,
All of
big
it.
air quotes around run club. It feels like a social club, a
Yeah.
nonprofit, this kind of amorphic, amoebic social movement, really. And so when exactly did you realize or look around with We Off the Couch and say, like, damn, like, what is this thing? This thing is bigger than me. This thing is bigger than me saying, hey, I'm on the fire road and I actually like this
Yeah.
thing. When did it click for you?
It still hits me, you know, like, and I'm gonna go hit the car and be bawling my face out. But I'm
Yeah.
serious, man. Like,
Yeah.
but I would say it really hit me when I had a mom, and she runs a crew, and her son's an adult son. He's running with the crew, and she came and she told me, she said, you know, a couple weeks ago, my son wanted to kill himself,
Mm.
and he just went through all these things, and he was gonna do it, but she said the thing that kept him from doing that and then, you know, really learning to show up for himself was getting introduced to running again through We Off the Couch and knowing
Mhm.
that he had a group of people
Mm.
who cared about him. And when she told me that, I'm talking like her and I sat there and we just bawled
I bet.
because that's what's real. That's when it hit me like, dude, you're not just a running group. Y'all are not just running together.
Mhm.
Y'all are running into fires with each other. You're doing real life together. And that's when I was like, okay, we got to be a nonprofit. Let me figure out how to start this up.
How do you recognize when someone in your club is starting to transform, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally?
You see them begin to step in and lead in different ways and
Mm-hmm.
want to be more active and involved and move from a place of just receiving something to wanting to give
Mm-hmm.
something, right? You see that it's a joy you begin to see about that person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right, like
Yeah.
you know, like they're happy to be. I'm talking. It's 22 degrees, 22, 24 degrees outside. It's cold, and people are out there smiling,
Yeah.
steam
Yeah.
rolling,
Yeah.
rolling
Yeah.
from their butt. But people are out there
Yeah.
smiling, and
Yeah.
they're happy because they want to be in that space where they know they're loved and they know
Yeah.
they can give love. We have our 3 C's. It's called connect, contribute, and conquer, and we see it happen all the time.
That's
People
so
are
cool.
connecting and starting to contribute to other people's lives,
Yeah.
right? And they were all conquering this thing together.
Yeah.
Sometimes I don't even think we realize all that we are conquering because
Yeah.
we're showing up like that, you know. So yeah, I mean, you begin to see people become really joyful in ways that you know when they first showed up, they just
Yeah.
weren't smiling like that,
Yeah.
you know. So, and I'm like, oh man, this stuff really works. It changes the way I think Richmond sees itself. I think it changes the way Richmond engages with itself.
Mm-hmm.
This is why we have to do what we do in the way that we do it. Because I could say it like this, where it once was the capital of the Confederacy, right? I really see us being, you know, a capital of love.
Most things in life, if not everything in life, is a choice between love and fear. And I think the way in which we go down one path or the other typically is because of how we spend our time, our passions or lack of passions. Do
Oh, that's
you
good.
think that your love of running has helped you and helps you daily to choose love over fear?
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. That's a great question, Daniel. I'll take you right on back to 17-year-old me. Just lost my brother.
Mm-hmm.
You know, going into college, fearful. Nobody's going to take this scholarship. Nobody's going to take this money. Let me get what money I can because my parents don't have anything. Always in a steady fight mode.
Mm-hmm.
So now the freedoms and the liberties that I have through movement and running, like, man, yeah, absolutely, man. Just continuing to show up in this run space, continuing to do it the way we're doing. It's changed my life and it's changing other people's lives. And I just want to see it to continue to happen.
It is now time for the final ramble. One piece of gear you cannot live without.
My water vest. Can't live without my water vest.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta
Which
have my
one?
vest.
When I first started getting into trail running, I was like, this is the goofiest thing ever. These
Right.
water
Why
bottles
I
that
need all
look
of
like
this? Right.
these water bottles look like hydration bratwurst. Like they're so goofy looking, dude. You know, like I started calling it my training bra. And I
Right.
swear, dude,
Oh, bro, it's hilarious.
I can hardly go on a walk around the block with my dogs without using that thing now. It feels like if
Man.
I go for a run without it, now it feels like I'm not wearing pants or something. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right. It's like, hey, wait, man, I just don't feel good, man. Where's
Totally,
my
right?
vest? I feel
Yeah.
you. I feel you. 2 miler with
Best
my vest.
outdoor snack.
Oh man, gummies. Gummies and pretzels are like life.
Pretzels.
Pretzels. Great.
So are you going like like the old school like Haribo gummy bears, or
Oh
are you like
yeah.
Oh
Haribo gummy bears. That's
Yeah.
my shot.
Yeah.
I forget the other one,
99
but
cents for a bag or whatever it is
oh
good.
yeah,
That's a
man.
good
Like
deal.
it's like life giving, man. You know,
Yeah.
you like 20 some miles in, and you like
Yeah.
questioning your life and why did I do this today? Oh, just let me get some gummies.
Okay.
I'm
What's your
good now.
favorite? What's your favorite flavor of that variety pack?
Sour apple is
Ooh.
definitely
Ooh.
my
Ooh.
favorite. Definitely my
Nice.
favorite.
I'm glad you
The
didn't say
the
something
licorice
crazy like
flavor.
yellow.
Black, no, not the yellow. The black ones, I'll be throwing them away. It tastes like licorice. I'm like, no,
Oh, the
can't
black
do that.
licorice. Black licorice is so
No,
gross, dude. Anybody who
yeah, I
likes
don't like
black
it.
licorice, there's tasty things. It tastes like dirt. Well, there's tasty things
Right.
out there. I don't understand that. Okay.
Yeah, me.
Last one. What is your hottest outdoor hot take?
Turn your tracker off. Take your watch off. Turn
Don't
Strava
track your
off.
stats. Don't track your stats. Yeah.
Don't
Strava's
track
for
your
nerds.
stats.
Okay.
Right? Just go outside. You know, go
I like
outside.
it.
And I think that when people do that, they'll find that more matters than just their pace. You know.
Boom. Mr. 808 says, don't be Mr. Stat Man. There you go. Booyah. Love it.
Appreciate you, Patty.
This has been such a good conversation, man. Oh, now I got to figure out how my wife and I, how we can take a little trip to Richmond.
Man, come on down, man. We'll take care of you guys, man.